welcome to this channel. My name is Arsalan Nasir and I'm going to teach you, help you and guide you throughout your O-levels mathematics journey. Let's begin with the very first topic, prime and composite numbers. Now, we have all studied in our early years that a number can be classified as either even or odd. But is that the only way of classification? The answer is no. There is another method that is based on the number of factors a given number has. Now, what does that mean? That the number of factors. Let's take an example of number 5. In simple terms, 5 किस के table में आता है? We will say 1 into 5 gives us 5 and 5 into 1 again gives us 5. So 1 and 5 becomes factors. Another way of seeing this is 5 किन numbers से completely divisible है. What does that mean, completely divisible? Let's say I divide 5 by 1, I get 5. 5 divided by 1 is 5, a whole number. So I will say 5 is completely divisible by 1. And let's divide 5 by 2. I get 2.5. I'm not getting a whole number this time, which means 5 is not completely divisible by 2. So 2 is not a factor of 5. 5 when divided by 5 we get 1. This time we are getting a whole number. So we can say that 5 is completely divisible by 5. So 1 and 5 becomes factors of 5 because these are the only two numbers through which 5 is completely divisible. Now let's take another example of number 8. 1 into 8 gives us 8. 2 into 4 gives us 8. 4 into 2 gives us 8 and 8 into 1 gives us 8, which means 1, 2, 4 and 8, these four numbers are factors of 8. Another way is that 8 should be completely divisible by the number. 8 divided by 1 gives us 8, a whole number. 8 divided by 2 gives us 4, again a whole number, which means 8 is completely divisible by 1 and 2. Let's divide 8 by 3 and we are getting 2.6667, a decimal number, not a whole number. So we will say that 8 is not completely divisible by 3. Therefore, 3 is not a factor of 8. Let's divide 8 by 4 and we get 2, a whole number, which means 8 is completely divisible by 4. And 8 divided by 8 gives us 1, a whole number, which means 8 is completely divisible by 8. So number 1, 2, 4 and 8, these four numbers 1, 2, 4 and 8, these become factors of 8. In order to be a factor, याद रखें उस नंबर को completely divide करना है given number को. If I am getting a decimal number as the answer, that number will be set as not completely divisible. But if I am getting a whole number in the answer, I will say completely divisible. और अगर कोई number किसी number से completely divisible है, that becomes the factor of that number. In this case, we have, let's say 5. The factors of 5 are 1 and 5. And the factors of 8 are 1, 2, 4 and 8. Let's introduce our definitions here. A prime number is any number that has exactly two distinct factors, one and itself. Two distinct factors, exactly two, one and itself. And a composite number is any number that has more than two factors. One and itself के अलावा भी उसके कोई ना कोई factors होंगे. In this scenario, we can see that 5 has only two factors, 1 and itself. So this makes 5 prime. And in this case, we can see that 8 has 1, 2, 4, 8, 4 different factors. 1 and itself के अलावा भी it has factors. So this makes 8 a composite number. Now here's the task for you. आपने प्रैक्टिस करना है नंबर 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 एंड 9. कीप इट टू वन डिजिट नंबर. इनको प्रैक्टिस कीजिए 2 से लेकर 9 तक. इनके फैक्टर्स निकालिए एंड देन डिसाइड which number is a prime number and which number is a composite number. And if you are able to find out, comments में जरूर mention कीजिए कौन से numbers prime है and कौन से numbers composite हैं. Now let's talk about 1 and 0. Is 1 a prime or a composite number? Is 0 a prime or a composite number? Let's test them individually. Let's say 1. In order to be a prime number, it should have exactly two different factors, 1 and itself, which means ये 1 और itself से completely divisible होना चाहिए. Now 1 divided by 1 gives us a whole number, and we can say that 1 is a factor of 1. This is a factor. Other than 1, there is no other factor. And the definition of prime number says that it should have exactly two distinct factors. Exactly two. However, we are just getting one factor. Therefore, 1 is not a prime number and it cannot be classified as a composite number either. Therefore, 1 is a special number. Let's talk about 0. Again, according to the definition of prime number, it should have exactly two distinct factors, which means 0 and 1 से completely divisible होना चाहिए. 0 should be completely divisible by 0 and 0 should be completely divisible by 1. This is actually correct. When divided by 1, 0 is 0. But what about 0 divided by 0? Nothing can be divided by 0. Therefore, if we are not getting any answer, that does not fit the definition of prime number, because it should give us a whole number here. But in this case, 0 to 0 se divide hi nahi ho sakta. So in that case, when 0 does not have 0 as its factor, that means 0 is not a prime number. And if it's not a prime number, it should be a composite number. However, composite number के लिए भी उसको अपने आप से तो completely divisible होना चाहिए ना, लेकिन वो तो हो ही नहीं सकता. That's why we say 0 is again a special number. They are neither prime nor composite. Now, let's say if I have a 2-digit, 3-digit or 4-digit number, how will I classify whether that number is a prime number or a composite number? So, we have a series of steps that we follow. In order to understand those steps, we need to understand the divisibility test first. Divisibility test of 2. The very first step. If there is any number that is even, let's say, how will we know whether this is a prime or a composite? The simple test is divisibility test of 2. How does that work? Read the table of 2. 2 ones are 2, 2 twos are 4, 2 threes are 6, 2 fours are 8, 2 fives are 10, 2 sixes are 12, 2 sevens are 14, 2 eights are 16, 2 nines are 18, and 2 tens are 20. And the list goes on. 24, 26, 28, 30. So, except for 2, all the other numbers in which there is a 2 in the end, or 4 in the end, or 6 in the end, or 8 in the end, or 0 in the end, these all numbers are completely divisible by 2. Now, according to the definition of prime number should be completely divisible by two numbers only, 1 and itself, which means 1 and 2, 284 के अलावा ये किसी और से divisible नहीं होना चाहिए. But as it is an even number, it is completely divisible by 2. If I will divide it by 2, I get 2 ones are 2, 2 ones are 2, 2 fours are 8, and 2 twos are 4, which means 1, 1, 4, 2, a whole number, which makes 2284 a composite number, because वो 1 और अपने अलावा 2 के टेबल से easily divide हो रहा है, 2 के नंबर से divide हो रहा है easily, right? Completely divide हो रहा है. So we will say that at any number that has 2, 4, 6, 8 or 0 at the end, it is completely divisible by 2. और easily वो composite numbers की category में immediately चला गया. Then we have another test that is called divisibility test of 3. Let's say if I have a number 87, what will I do? I will add these numbers 8 plus 7, which gives me 15. Now 15 is completely divisible by 3, which means 87 is also completely divisible by 3. You can even simplify it further. Let's say 1 plus 5 gives us 6. 6 is completely divisible by 3, which means 15 is also completely divisible by 3. And if 15 is completely divisible by 3, that means 87 is also completely divisible by 3. Now, let's take the example of 723. If I add 7 plus 2 plus 3, I get 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And if I add 1 plus 2, I get 3. Now 3 is completely divisible by 3, which means 12 is also completely divisible by 3, which means 723 is also completely divisible by 3. Right? Taking another example of 9, 8, 7, 6, 1. 9 plus 8 is 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, plus 6, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and plus 1, 24. This gives us 24. 2 plus 4 gives us 6. Now 6 is completely divisible by 3, which means 24 is also completely divisible by 3, which means 9861 is also completely divisible by 3. So कोई भी नंबर जिसको ऐड करने से एक नंबर हमें मिले और वो completely divisible by 3 हो, तो हम ये कह सकते हैं कि जो फर्स्ट नंबर है जिसको हमने यूज किया था that is also divisible by 3. और अगर कोई नंबर 1 and itself के अलावा 3 से भी divisible है, completely divisible है, so we will clearly say that it is a composite number, क्योंकि prime number तो हो ही नहीं सकता, right? But in case divisibility test of 2 fail हो जाए, divisibility test of 3 भी fail हो जाए, then we have another method that's called divisibility test of 5. Now, according to divisibility test of 5, let's say there is an let's read the table of 5. 5 ones are 5, 5 twos are 10, 5 threes are 15, 5 fours are 20, 5 fives are 25, 5 sixes are 30, and the list goes on. Any number except 5 that has 5 or 0 in the end, that number is completely divisible by 5, always. Let's say we have 325. We have a 5 in the end, which means this number is completely divisible by 5. Let's say divided by 5. 5 ones are 5, 5 6 are 30, 2 remaining, 5 5s are 25. The answer is 65, which is a whole number, which means 325 is completely divisible by 5. अगर 325 1 और 325 के अलावा 5 से भी completely divisible है, तो ये prime number तो नहीं हो सकता. We put it in the category of composite numbers. But what if the divisibility test of 2, 3 and 5 fail? Then what should we do? I have a number 67 here. Now, if I have to find out whether this number is a prime number or a composite number, I will start by applying divisibility test. Let's apply divisibility test of 2 first. 67, it has a 7 in the end, which makes it an odd number, and odd numbers are not completely divisible by 2. Now, I'll apply divisibility test of 3. For that, I have to add these both numbers. 6 plus 7 gives me 13. Now, 13 is not divisible by 3, which means 67 is also not divisible by 3. Now, let's apply divisibility test of 5. Again, there is a 7 in the end. For divisibility test of 5 to pass, it should have at least 0 or 5 in the end. But it has 7, which means this number 67 is not completely divisible by 5. In this scenario, when all the three divisibility test of 2, 3 and 5 fail, what should we do? We have a common system for this, and that is by taking root of that number. We'll take the root of 67, which gives us around 8.18. Now I will take this 8.18 and I will convert it into a whole number, the nearest next whole number, that is 9. This is the number 9. Now from 2 to 9, I have to take all the prime numbers. Let's say we have, for easy reference, I have put the list here 2, 3, 5 and 7. Between 2 to 9, I have 4 prime numbers 2, 3, 5 and 7. I will divide 67 by each of them. Let's see what answers do we get. If I divide 67 by 2, I get 33.5. If I divide 67 by 3, I get 22.33. If I divide 67 by 5, I get 13.4. And if I divide 67 by 7, I get 9.57. 0 से लेकर 9 तक के बीच में जितने 2 से लेकर 9 तक जितने भी प्राइम नंबर्स हैं, that are 2, 3, 5 and 7, मुझे इस नंबर को उन सब से डिवाइड करना है. And if I get a whole number in any of it, अब ये देख लें, डिवाइड बाय 2 किया, it is not completely divisible. Again, 67 by 3 is not completely divisible. 67 is not completely divisible by 5 and 67 is again not completely divisible by 7 because किसी भी उसमें हमारे पास होल नंबर में आंसर नहीं आ रहा. So अगर इस तरह की सिचुएशन हो कि हमारे पास किसी भी केस में होल नंबर नहीं आ रहा, so we will say that it is a prime number. Let's take 173 and applying divisibility test of 2. लास्ट में 3 है, divisibility test of 2 फेल हो गया. Now let's add them together. 1 plus 7 plus 3, it gives us 1 plus 7 8, 9 10 11. 11 is not divisible by 3. It is not completely divisible by 3. So if 11 is not completely divisible by 3, 173 is also not completely divisible by 3. Now let's apply the last divisibility test of 5. It has a 3 in the end. For divisibility test of 5 to pass, it should have 0 or 5 in the end. Now this does not pass any of the 3 tests. In this case, again we will take the root of this number and we get what, 13.15. 13.15. I will round it off to the nearest whole number, next nearest whole number, that is 14. Now from 2 to 14 जितने भी प्राइम नंबर्स हैं उन सब के साथ 173 को इंडिविजुअली डिवाइड करना होगा. 173 divided by 2, 173 divided by 3, 173 divided by 5, 173 divided by 7, and we have 11 as well and 13 as well. Now 173 divided by 11 and 173 divided by 13. Let's apply. We get 86.5. 173 divided by 3 gives us 57.66. Now 173 divided by 5 gives us 34.6, and 173 divided by 7 gives us 24.7. 173 divided by 11 gives us 15.72, and 173 divided by 13 gives us 13.3. Now as you can see, from 2 to 14 जितने भी प्राइम नंबर्स थे 2, 3, 5, 7, 11 and 13, हमें 3, 4, 6 इनसे ट्राई करने की जरूरत ही नहीं है. We don't have to do that. We just have to do with prime numbers between 2 to 14. 2, 3, 5, 7, 11 and 13. किसी भी केस में हमारे पास होल नंबर नहीं आया, which means 173 is not divisible by any of these prime numbers. इस सिचुएशन में we call it प्राइम नंबर. ये अगर किसी एक से भी कंप्लीटली डिविजिबल होता तो वी वुड हैव कॉल्ड इट composite number. Otherwise, it is a prime number. Now, open your books. जो books आपके पास हैं for reference, आप इंटरनेट यूज करें, कोई भी बुक्स ओपन करें, डिफरेंट नंबर्स को अप्लाई करें उन पे डिविजिबिलिटी टेस्ट ऑफ 2, 3, 5. अगर नहीं हो रहे देन टेक देयर रूट्स एंड फॉर योर इजी रेफरेंस आई हैव प्लेस्ड द लिस्ट हियर. इसको यूज करके आप चेक कीजिए कि कौन से नंबर्स प्राइम नंबर्स के साथ डिवाइड हो जाते हैं. अगर वो कंप्लीटली डिविजिबल हैं then say that they are composite number. अगर वो completely divisible नहीं है that means they are prime number. Try की. Now I hope आपको prime numbers and composite numbers completely clear हो चुके होंगे और आपको ये भी पता चल गया है कि आपने किस तरीके से find out करना है whether a number is a prime number or a composite number. चाहे वो 2-digit number हो, 3 हो, 4 हो, whatever it is. अब आपको easily apply करना आ चुका होगा. Now what are the type of questions that are given usually in books? तो एक तो इंडिविजुअल नंबर्स हैं जो हमने प्रैक्टिस किए 67 एंड 173 आई थिंक भी हमने प्रैक्टिस किया. तो इसके अलावा जो हमें क्वेश्चंस आते हैं इट कैन बी अ सीक्वेंस. एक पूरी रेंज आपको लेट से दे दी गई 2010 से लेकर 2015 और आपसे कहा जाता है कि जी फाइंड आउट if there is any prime number between 2010 to 2015. तो इसमें सबसे पहला टास्क हमारा ये है कि हमने इसको ओपन करके लिख लेना है अपने पास 2010, 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014 and 2015. ऑटोमेटिकली 10, 12, 14 इन पे तो डिविजिबिलिटी टेस्ट ऑफ 2 अप्लाई हो जाता है. ये तो डायरेक्टली कट हो जाएंगे. दे आर ऑल कॉम्पोजिट नंबर्स. इसको हम लिख देते हैं सी सी सी. नाउ 2011, 13 and 2015. Let's apply divisibility test of 3 on individually. 2 plus 1, 3 plus 1, 4. Divisibility test of 3 apply नहीं होता इस पे. 3 plus 1, 4 plus 2, 6. Now 6 is divisible by 3, which means 2013 is also divisible by 3. Again, this is a composite number. Now let's apply it on 2015. 5 plus 1, 6 plus 2, 8. Now 8 is not divisible by 3. So इस पे divisibility test of 3 apply नहीं होता. But it has a 5 in the end, which means इस पे 5 आपका divisibility test apply होगा and this also becomes a composite number. तो series में से वैसे ही सारे निकल गए. We just have 2011. Now what should we do? We'll put 2011 in a root and we'll find out what is the answer to this. So applying root 2011 I get 44.84. 44.84. Nearest next whole number is 45. Now I have to divide 2011 with every prime number between 2 to 45. I have 2, 3, 5. Automatically हमने लगा के देखे थे टेस्ट, वो तो वैसे ही नहीं लग रहे थे. Now I'll apply 7. Then I'll apply 2011 divided by 11. Then I'll apply 2011 divided by 13 and 2011 divided by 17. And we will say 2011 divided by 19, 2011 divided by 23, 2011 divided by 29, divided by 31, 2011 divided by 37 and then 41, 37, 2011 divided by 41 and then 43, 2011 divided by 43. Now I'll calculate each of them. 2011 divided by 7 gives us 287.5, which means 7 से divide नहीं हो रहा completely. 2011 divided by 11 gives us 182.8. Again, not a whole number, तो ये भी fail हो गया. 2011 divided by 13, I get 154.69. Again failed. 2011 divided by 17, we get 118.29. Again decimal number, failed. 2011 divided by 19, we get 105.84. Again decimal number, failed. 2011 divided by 23, we get 87.4. Again failed. 2011 divided by 29, we get 69.34. Again failed. 2011 divided by 31, again 64.87. Again a decimal number, not completely divisible. 2011 divided by 37, we get 54.35. Decimal number, again not completely divisible. 2011 divided by 41, we get 49.04. Again decimal number, that means not completely divisible. So 2011 divided by 43, we get 46.77. Again a decimal number. So none of the prime numbers between 2 to 45 किसी भी एक प्राइम नंबर से ये completely divisible नहीं है. It is not completely divisible by any of these prime numbers, which makes 2011 the only prime number between this series. Rest are all composite numbers. So you see, composite numbers immediately इस पूरी लिस्ट में से निकल जाएंगे. And then we will apply divisibility test of will not apply divisibility test. We will take root of that number जो remaining रह जाते हैं. जैसे 1 है, 2 numbers हैं, उनको आपने root लेना है, and then you have to apply this procedure. और इसके बाद आपको पता लग जाएगा whether that number is a prime number or a composite number. Now there is another question जो कि books में बहुत commonly आता है, that is if A into B is equals to, let's say 53, find out the values of A and B. Now if you remember, 53 is a prime number. As we can see here, 53 is a prime number. Prime numbers के सिर्फ दो ही factors थे. As we discussed in the very beginning, prime numbers के there are only two factors of a prime number, 1 and itself. और हम उसको इस तरह define कर रहे थे, 1 into 53 is equals to 53 and 53 into 1 is equals to 53 because it is a prime number. अगर ये prime number ना होता तो हमारे पास multiple solutions होते, but we can write 53 as 1 into 53 and 53 into 1 equals to 53. अगर आप इसको बहुत गौर से देखें तो you can say 1 into 53 is equals to 53 और इसी तरीके से मैं कह सकता हूं 53 into 1 is equals to 53. This is the only equation, चाहे इसको इस तरह रीड करें या इस तरह रीड करें, that gives us 53, right? So if there is any prime number, हमारा as a solution answer prime number आ रहा है, तो A और B में से एक नंबर 1 ही होगा और दूसरा नंबर वही होगा जो सेल्फ है, because there are only two factors, 1 and itself. 53 is a prime number, so there will be only two numbers, 1 and 53. अब आपसे क्वेश्चन में ये पूछा जाता है, what is the value of A plus B? So let's say A is 1 and B is 53. The answer is 54. I hope ये चीज क्लियर हो गई है. जब भी कोई दो नंबर आपस में मल्टीप्लाई हो और वो एक प्राइम नंबर आंसर में दे रहे हैं, इक्वल्स टू प्राइम नंबर आ रहा है, तो भाई उसका सिर्फ दो ही फैक्टर्स थे, 1 और इटसेल्फ, या विच मीन्स या तो 1 53 से मल्टीप्लाई हुआ या 53 1 से मल्टीप्लाई हुआ, बोथ विल गिव 53. तो इन दोनों में से एक 1 ऑटोमेटिकली हो जाएगा और दूसरा ऑटोमेटिकली 53 हो जाएगा. लेट्स से इफ आई हैव 1 C into D is equals to 19. Now 19 is a prime number, which means C 1 हो गया and D 19 हो गया, और C 19 हो गया, D 1 हो गया, equals to 19. और अगर आपसे ये पूछा जाता है what is C plus D, so you will say C plus D 1 plus 19 equals to 20. Now open your books और देखें इसमें कोई इस तरह के questions आपके पास हैं, then practice them and tell me in the comment whether you were able to solve them or not. So guys, this was the entire concept of prime and composite numbers. Now I hope आपको समझ आई होगी, you were able to understand this concept, and I hope you will be able to solve the questions regarding prime and composite numbers. We'll meet you in the next video with another concept, with another topic. Till then, take care.